This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock.
Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today we're looking at an old school BOROS beatdown deck with some knight themes as well. This deck is something I found off the interweb. Oh my god, he net decks, dear god, MTG Goldfish, evil CGB. Stop him. Went 5-0 in a Magic Online Standard League, played by the Agent 002. Want to make sure I give the credit where it's due, and in best of 3 as well. So I'm pre-recording some stuff for holiday break so that I can be with family for a few days, and I haven't tested it, to be honest. So we're going to experience this deck together. We're going to learn about this deck together, and that's going to be fun, I hope. I might make some mistakes. I also might want to make some changes at the end. The deck only has 21 land, 31 creatures, 24 knights, 28 humans, 21 land, and the deck doesn't run any cards like Embercleave. What? No Embercleave, no acclaimed contender like we saw in the Mardu Knights deck earlier this week. So the lack of those cards takes away, I guess, what I've been talking a lot about Embercleave for a few weeks now. Embercleave just a defining thing in best of 1, and this deck says we don't need it. We'll go over the top with Aurelia. It reminds me of the Boros decks from early in Guilds of Ravnica, trying to make Tajik work, a card that hasn't received much attention. So yeah, there's a lot to this deck that leaves me questioning what's going on here. Sky Knight Legionnaire is another one of those that could be an acclaimed contender, but you can't argue with the budgetness of the deck. If you have Aurelia's left over from a few months ago and you don't want to craft Embercleave, plus I think you get one of these in the intro packs. Sky Knight Legionnaire is a common, this is a rare. I mean, yeah, there's a very budget element to the deck if you can get the Fervent Champions, Worthy Knights, Tajiks, and Aurelias. We also have tapped lands in Temple of Triumph. That scares me, but I guess we just have to make that mana base work. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this deck turns out, and if it is best of 1 Schmork mission competitive. With 4 shocks and 4 justice strikes, I believe we can play some knights and move things out of the way and get in damage. So let's dive in and let the Boros nonsense begin. No red mana, our worst nightmare come to life. If this had a red source, I think the hand would be interesting with a couple 3-drops, 2 of them legendary. It's better. I think what we're doing here, we can either put away the Tajik, or we can put away the castle. I'll keep 6 and put Tajik away. Having 2 legendaries in your 3 spot isn't really where you want to be. Be much happier drawing another 1 or 2 drop. And let's get fervent. Send the opponent a message. This game will be about your life total and how quickly I can destroy it. Pelt Collector joins the fray. And we miss on drawing a relevant card. Boo. But we can shock away this Pelt Collector, play this tapped land, and hit our opponent with the champion. Second Pelt Collector is fine. Now the Tajik will definitely turn up some heat. We could play the Sky Knight Legionnaire and start getting in some flying beatdowns. I'm a little worried that Tajik will run into the wrong thing, and if I play Tajik now, then Tajik may also be able to get to Mentor again next turn. So let's go for it. Tajik is not a knight, therefore does not get boosted by Fervent Champion. And we'll see what our opponent can play. Gruul Spellbreaker being, of course, one of the largest and strongest plays they could make. Thinking about an attack, but not making it, and with Aurelia off the top, we could send Tajik into combat to potentially trade with a knight or Spellbreaker. It could also die to the... This is awkward. Because we can play Aurelia. We can plus, say, the first striking champion. That's a difficult thing for anybody to deal with. A double block could take it out. That's not good at all. I think maybe we're better off getting up in the air. You know what? Let's let our Fervent Champion go for it. If it trades with a Spellbreaker, I'm okay with this. I do think the opponent should double block, but instead they take the damage. Wow. All right, they need a big turn. And I'm out of their Embercleave range. Questing Beast. How big of a turn can you have? So no blocks to the Beast. Down to 16. Fervent Champion off the top is good. So 2 Fervent Champion triggers can make this attack for 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, and a Tajik Mentor trigger is 9. This is going to be glorious. As long as I do it right. Pump. Let's see, we do need the Mentor trigger on something. Let's pump here, and let's Mentor the Aurelia. All right, Knight, Knight, Mentor this, Mentor that. And that's 9 in the air. Wow. Bang, bang. The opponent's like, where did this come from? What the hell is this Boros thing doing? Fervent Champion, Inspiring Veteran, Tajik Aurelia. Is that a curve or is that a curve? Let's roll. Opponent, you better keep a lit hand. Send a message. What's your turn 1 like? Overgrown Tomb, Shock, Edgewall, Innkeeper. Okay, it's on. Here comes the champ. 15. The clock has certainly started. Almir Knight is here. Death Touch is a problem. And another one? That's really nasty. Well, they still don't stop the Fervent Champion. So I could play out a Tajik and the next turn play out an Aurelia. Obviously running the Inspiring Knight into this situation is bad. The opponent certainly did keep a lit hand. Good for them. So yeah, I think our play is going to be Tajik, attack with Fervent Champion, pass. Pay the life, play the Taj. All right, they have a beast. That's good on the ground. So Aurelia can give a bonus to the Fervent Champion, but it still gets brickwalled by the beast. So we don't have an attack this turn, but we do have a flyer getting ready to do some damage in the future. But the opponent did exactly what I said. They kept a perfect hand. Now let's see if they have removal for the Aurelia. They have a Questing Beast, okay. Well, I don't have blocks for that at this time. So they've turned the battle. That's a pretty good draw. So what do we pump? We could get this up to 5 first striking damage, but I don't want to attack with it because these two combined can first strike away the beast. So let's just hit them in the air. So what I want my opponent to make a mistake with is Vivian Arcbow Ranger. If they play a Vivian and use the Questing Beast minus on the Aurelia, the Tajik will prevent it. Hard to turn away a creature. It also lets me attack with my Tajik, do some mentoring, maybe mess up my opponent's blocks next turn. Also, if the opponent removes this Tajik to try to set up a Vivian for the Aurelia the following turn, this Tajik can replace it. So let's end the turn. There's the Arcbow. Let's see what they do. If they try to fight the Aurelia, it won't work.
And I will survive you.
Do they know how Tajik works? They are going after Tajik. Okay. They know how it works. Keeping the backup Tajik might save our game. Questing Beast. We don't have the first strike now, so I don't think blocking is the wise play. Down to 10. Backup Tajik. Aurelia, keep it up. All right, hold on to your butts. All right, they're giving Trample to the Lovestruck Beast, so we're going to have to block something. But we can't let Tajik die. Second Arcbow, okay. That can kill Taj.
Close your eyes and listen to the sounds of the wild.
It can also give some extra buffs. This is going to get interesting. And they give some extra buffs. How's your math? Math is for blockers. So these trample, but we do have to stop them. This one is not worth blocking because trample death touch means the damage won't be absorbed. We can double block and first strike these away and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which means we have to block somewhere else. This is 9. How would they deal 1 more damage? I don't think they would. I really don't think they've got it. I can't think of a way that the deck would do it. The typical deck wouldn't run something like a Disfigure. So there's first strike, the beast is down. We go to 1, we untap, and that's game. Keeping the second Tajik absolutely saved the game there. Just because you have 1 doesn't mean you won't need another copy to close. Knight Veteran, Shock Strike. We'll try it. It's a painful mana base for sure. Ooh, and it looks like our opponent is a painful opponent. I'll just pay for the 2 and I'll use our removal spells to hold off their early onslaught. Justice Strike if it's for Torbran. Everything, the shocks can catch the other 2 early plays, and I'd love to play the Knight and the Veteran at the same time. So yeah, we'll play this tapped, get rid of this as well. Say go, before the opponent has an opportunity to put any spells on it. Oh no! That's very ice cold. Well, to remove it and lose to a Torbran, I guess you have to beat what you see. But can the opponent get through a Venerable Knight and an Inspiring Veteran? I'll at least make them. These are definitely burn spells, right? I shouldn't have used that first shock. I should have just played a Knight. I shouldn't have worried about the Spitter. I always think I have a lot of removal until the red deck has too much. Alright, we'll play this. We'll Justice Strike this. But a version of the deck has been running around with cards like Infuriate in it, which makes me play my removal spells a little more carefully. No blocks. Spits, and that's it? Okay. Seems like they have instant speed removal. I can't play 2 creatures this turn. What's the thing I'd rather have removed? Probably the Legionnaire. And it's the most mana efficient. Oh, that resolved kind of easy. Who's the beatdown? Who's the beatdown from here? That was an awkward play. Once our opponent draws a Torbrand, our trades won't be good anyway. Yeah, I don't think I can beat it when my opponent draws the land, so we have to try to kill them before they do. I have to try to kill them before they top deck out of this. And the card is a mountain, a Torbrand. I lose. The world is cruel. All right, we'll play you. Play you. Hit him up top. But yeah, the big mistake in this game was the very first shock. I played it wrong. I played it wrong. Ooh, all tap lands on the draw? I think I've got to do better. That was just an unfortunate looking hand. We'll keep this. We'll put one of these back because we'll draw another. Don't worry. There's still 18 more lands out of 54 cards. We'll draw at least 2. Lock it in. We're doing mono red again. Oh, great. Oh, boy. Well, who's the beatdown? Probably not me. I'm not only on the draw, I'm against a deck that's faster in theory. So let's hold back the champion and make the opponent remove it if they want to keep chip damaging me. I don't know if I can actually win a long game, but I can at least stall long enough to get something bigger. I currently don't have a Justice Strike for a Torbrand, that's a big problem. My removal's not great. Electrostatic Field. Whoa. There's one you don't see that much these days. Ooh, a flyer. Flyer is good. Let's fly. A little flying token factory might be very helpful. If we draw another land, Sky Knight can join in. Opponent giving the Sky Knight Vanguard a read and targeting it with a shock. Well, there's an unblockable little guy. Might require a shock. Ooh, really? All right, well, if you have an Infuriate, let's test it. Yeah, but they're down to 1 card and we got it out of them. Another Vanguard. Let's try it. Still goes up against the Torch Courier well enough until the opponent gets 1 more red source. Never mind. But they have to make the Dodger unblockable, so they can't use the castle. Here comes Dodgy. Worthy Knight. Not bad. It's probably, though, it's probably time to start getting some of these cards out of my hand. I don't think we're ever going to get to double shock a Torbrand. The opponent clearly doesn't have it yet. Ooh, they take it. Okay. So I think it's time to play the Venerable Knight and use a shock. We have to start double spelling and trying to get ahead of our opponent. So we want to make them pay the mana for the Dodger, then take it off the field. They kept a weak hand. I mean... Galvin Banneret. Okay. That can be a good card to catch with a shock. Ooh, they're attacking with the Torch Courier. And the Dodger. We may not need to shock. We can block here. The opponent's letting us have this block. All right. Is this shock worth preventing 2 damage? I think it is. Sure. Now we can put a +1/+1 counter on our Vanguard so it can keep trucking. And here, we can hold back the 1/1 to fight the Banneret and play a Worthy Knight. Opponent packs it in. I guess they're not going to see if they can top deck a Torbrand. Maybe they don't have those kinds of cards. It's a good hand. We've had color problems for here and there. This one shouldn't. Let's start the party with the Fervent Champion. Temple Garden tapped. Interesting. Now we can throw a Venerable Knight onto the team. Wish we'd had you for turn 1, but that's the way it goes. We could have been swinging for 4 here. And the opponent gives us a Paradise Druid, not something I can shock. So they get to ramp up, and I don't get to interact with it, but we've got the creatures on the move. Let's pump the Sky Knight to make sure the damage gets through. The opponent will block the Venerable Knight. Where do we put the counter? A counter can help make sure that Fervent Champion keeps getting in, and the opponent wants to get rid of the Sky Knight anyway, so I think the Fervent Champion should be the recipient. They keep shocking. That's a big dino. They were hoping that would save them, but it will not. The Mighty Justice Strike. Abzan Dinosaur. Interesting. And that's game. And that's why we need Justice Strike. Good curve on the play. Can't argue too much with that. Let's hope that the opponent doesn't gum up the board too much for us to get some damage in. Fervent Champion, too. Wow. So, I could play the Veteran or the Vanguard. Let's try the Vanguard out. Get the aerial beats going. Veteran is more quick damage the more knights you have on the field. So even though it has bigger stats up front. Ooh, Witch's Oven. Our opponent's giving us time. How best to take advantage? Definitely doing a Scryland this turn. Inspiring Veteran can hit for an extra 4, which I really like. Let's start with the Scry, just in case it changes our opinion. Okay, next turn is double Fervent Champion. So even if they have something out of nowhere, like a Cry of the Canarium, which doesn't make sense with a Witch's Oven, this will put a ton of damage on them very quickly. Down to 10. Make it count. This looks like one of those awkward food draws, though. Murderous Rider has to go after the Veteran, but the opponent falls to 8. They're just dead. They are just dead before they see turn 4 without Embercleave. Unbelievable. What a beating. On the draw with a turn 1 shock into a bunch of knights. Not the greatest. But it's better than no 1 drop at all. Okay, our opponent with a Temple of Mystery. If their turn 1 plays a Paradise Druid, we're in really bad shape. Okay, we drew a 1 drop. We can start the party. We can take the fight to them. Now, what they play next turn will determine whether we want to do Worthy Knight or Sky Knight Vanguard. Okay. When I see Paradise Druid, I don't believe that we're going to have time for a bunch of Worthy Knight tokens to be very impactful. Of course, Wicked Wolf might come down. Green-black is a little strange, though. It's really kind of a ramp deck. So what's better, to get some flying beatdowns? It is 2 attacking power. This is tough. My instincts say to go with the Sky Knight, but I can see Worthy Knight having a big impact too. Let's go with the Aerial Assault. Very tempting to play another Fervent Champion as well, but one good thing about Fervent Champion is we can put the triggers in the air here. The opponent will shock. They will play a Questing freaking Beast. Ugh. Well, on the bright side, if we draw a red source... Come on. It's not a red source. So I think we continue our flying aggro attempt on the opponent here. We could attack with the champion, because right now the Questing Beast is just going to devour the 1/1 token. If we attack with the Fervent Champion, we get an extra damage in the air, and we have an extra 1/1 next turn. But having an extra knight is better than having an extra 1/1 for a number of reasons, Inspiring Veteran being one, and the first strike being important. This is going to be a straight-up race with a 4/4 Vigilant Death Touch Haste, accelerated into by a Paradise Druid. This is not good. This is not the race we wanted. Down to 12. What else can the opponent do? They just straight up play the Great Henge. That's game, I'm sure. Can't draw it up better than that. A Paradise Druid I couldn't interact with, a Questing Beast. I guess the thing I could have done differently, instead of playing the Legionnaire, I could have shocked the Paradise Druid and played a Worthy Knight last turn, and then the opponent may not have been able to pull off as good of a turn as they had. Alright, so we need to get and stay aggro. We're locked on red mana. Our draw has been absolutely cruel to us in that sense. So let's play Inspiring Veteran and go for the airborne offense. All right, we'll probably get one more turn and 12 damage, which, how do we do that in the air? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is where we're at. And that's assuming we drew another red source, and that would be all we have. Well, we were not meant to succeed. The opponent should take my mountain. They can stop the knight just fine. They can stop everything. They can kill me. Yeah. Enough of that. Thanks for the beating. I'll be over here in the corner. All right, I've spent some time with the Boros beatdown deck, and I can safely make some recommendations. Let's go back into the deck for a look. This deck, 21 lands is not close to enough. Not even close. It's so many games were decided by being stuck on 2 mana. It was really atrocious. Really atrocious. Mulliganing to try to get to multiple lands. If you miss your 3rd land drop, this deck really can't keep up in the format. It's very poor. And anytime a Castle Embereth entered the battlefield tapped, it was also very, very bad. So that's got to change, and I just don't think this deck has a chance to win without hitting at least its first several land drops. So I don't think I'd go without 24. I could see an argument going down to 22, but man, it's really I can't express it enough. I don't like keeping games where I just lose because I never drew another land in the videos. I think it's a waste of your time and mine, but there were so many. So many. All right, next thing. This card is unplayable. I love Hero of Precinct 1, and I want to love Worthy Knight, but this format is so cruel to this card. It's so cruel. 1/1s don't matter. Playing more creatures into the board is overcommitting. You don't get to pace your threats well, and on its own, it's just a grizzly bear, doing almost absolutely nothing. Also, if we're going to take out Castle Embreth because we can't afford many tapped lands in our deck, then this card gets a lot worse. So this card shouldn't be played. And Aurelia, you're just not it. You're too slow. I mean, we found a few games where you did a thing and it mattered, but those were few and far between, and I don't like you. Tajik, you were a battler. I'll give you props for that. But you're also not a knight. You don't quite fit the theme, but you go really well. Like, you're so good on the play. You're so bad on the draw. If I'm running this deck again, I think I would want to run Acclaimed Contender and Embercleave, because this is, to me, the end game that actually works in the format. Now, you may want to cut Tajik at this point for another knight. Another night, another dream, but always you. Maybe there's a 2-mana knight who should be in here instead of Tajik, but Tajik on Ember, Tajik holds the cleave pretty well, and Tajik didn't let me down very often. There is some risk that your Acclaimed Contender won't search if you don't draw some of your other 16 knights, which is kind of scary. But you can still, again, if you don't want to run Contender, you can still run the Sky Knight. Sky Knight is not bad. It was one of the cards I don't have a problem with, to be honest, compared to a lot of other issues I had with the deck. So I'll leave that up to you, Sky Knight Legionnaire, or Acclaimed Contender, or a split, perhaps. Or do you cut Tajik and go with the Contender and the full-on Knight theme? Something like that. But I do think if you're not Embercleaving the opponent in the format, you're doing it wrong. And that's my opinion for aggro. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed checking out the deck. I certainly like to usually bring you decks I've tested and tuned a good amount, but with the holidays coming up, I'm trying to batch a bunch of videos together. So thank you for your patience. This thank you goes out to my YouTube members. If you hit the join button there just below, you can support the channel for $4.99 a month and get access to extra videos. So thank you to all of you. And have a very happy holidays, and the coming new year, may it treat you well. I will see you later.